Hi everyone, this is Frank Demore with the Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. And if you just found my YouTube channel, I'd like to invite you to go over to my prophecy site. You'll see it here, BibleProphecyMan.com. And when you're there, you'll be able to download my documentary on Bible prophecy and current events for free today by clicking to this link. Now, for those of you who are new to Bible prophecy, there's something in the news today that I found very interesting, but before I get there, I need to give you some background. So for those who know Bible prophecy and may have seen this before, please be patient. But I do think that you're going to find interesting as well. Now, in the book of Daniel, chapter 2, and Daniel, chapter 7, and also in the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and 17, these are the chapters where obviously Daniel's in the Old Testament, where God showed Daniel every world empire that was going to be in existence from the time that Daniel lived under the Babylonian Empire under King Nebuchadnezzar. And the Lord showed Daniel a vision, several visions, and then he showed him and told him what these visions are for the future. And so we know from those visions and now from history that what God showed Daniel so many years ago actually came to pass. And we're moving our way towards this last world empire. Now, in this vision, could have looked something like this. When you read the text, you'll see that there was this colossal figure. But Daniel was under the authority of King Nebuchadnezzar, and that was the Babylonian Empire. But God told Daniel after that empire was defeated, it would be defeated by the Medo-Persian Empire. And when you read the text, you'll see that the Lord used precious metals to depict each one of the nations. And you'll find out that uh, gold is the most expensive, and then it starts to downgrade into these less value precious stones or metals, excuse me. And then after the Medo-Persian Empire was already in existence, the Grecian Empire would follow. It would destroy the Medo-Persian Empire, and that's exactly what happened with Alexander the Great. And you'll see it went from silver under the Medo-Persian to brass under the Grecian. And we know from history that this Grecian Empire, when Alexander the Great died at a young age, his kingdom was divided up into four different provinces and it was ruled by four different generals. And this was told to Daniel, and that's exactly what happened. But then, after the time period of the Grecian Empire was over, Rome would step in and they would conquer the Grecian Empire. And this would be the Roman Empire, the first Roman Empire. And you'll see that in the scriptures, it's given the iron for the legs. And we know from the old Roman Empire there were two phases or two parts of this old Roman Empire. There were the Eastern Division and also the Western Division. And then in the last days, the Lord showed us that from the iron of the old Roman Empire, this same entity would give birth to a revived Roman Empire. And in the vision, it's depicted as the feet and the toes. So you have a revived Roman Empire on the feet and the toes. Now, moving to the last days, this is one of the major prophecies that actually shows us we are in the heart of the last days. This is a picture of the old Roman Empire. Now, you'll see here it says as of September 2011. This is when I put this together, but obviously today is February the 29th of 2012, but primarily it's the same nations that were back in September of 2011. But what you had is when you take a look, you'll see all of these nations made up the old Roman Empire. And today you have the European Union, which is made up of 27 EU member states. And this is actually the reborn western leg of the old Roman Empire. So we know for a fact that the prophecy for the last days is approaching us very, very quickly, because if the old Roman Empire has been established again or revived, that definitely shows us that the next phase is there's going to be a period of time where 10 of these rulers, we don't know which ones they are, but according to the book of Revelation, when you read it, you'll see that the Lord Jesus tells us that there will be 10 kings who will give up their authority to the Antichrist. And this will be, you'll signify this with the 10 toes. Now, in the book of Revelation, it says 10 kings, but it's still, these are visions, but we know exactly what he is talking about. So, yes, we are very close. The revived Roman Empire is already here. And if Jesus tells us that this king that is going to be given all the power by these 10 kings, then we should be looking for a structure that will come out of the old Roman Empire that will solidify 10 kings and give their power over to the Antichrist. Well, you're talking about world domination. This is what the book of Daniel is about the Antichrist coming. He's going to rule the world. Jesus talks about it. You'll see it in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 18, where the Lord talks about this man, the Antichrist, given the ability. He's going to go out and mark everybody in the right hand or in the forehead, and he'll be able to control the world economy. And the way he does this is nobody's going to be able to buy or sell anything unless they actually had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And so all this does right here is to really signify how close we are. Now, when you go to, there's an article today that I thought was really, really interesting, because anytime we're talking about Putin, he's running again for the president of Russia, it says, we will strive to ensure a new world order. Vladimir Putin outlines plans for the EU. Well, what is the EU? The EU is the European Union, the revived Roman Empire. So when you hear talk, and by the way, this isn't the first time or the first talk about the new world order in relation to Europe or the European Union, but when you hear talk like this, better stand up and take notice of it, because this is essentially what God has shown us in the Old Testament and what Jesus has showed us in the New Testament. So let me go to the story here. I'll pull this up for you, and we'll go right to it. Now, here we go, and it's the 28th. This actually came from yesterday. It says, we will strive to ensure a new world order. Now, it goes on to say here is what many will find the feel-good story of the day. In an article published just before Russia's upcoming election, Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin calls on the Eurozone leaders to consider the idea of creating what he calls a Union of Europe. All right? And his vision, when you read down here, it says, that's right, writes Business Insider Adam Taylor. The Union of Europe, not a European Union, a free trade zone, and perhaps more, stretching from Lisbon from Vladivostok. As Taylor notes, and this is one of the, I found it very intriguing. It says, Russia is actively participating in an international effort to support the alien European economies and is consistently working with the partners to formulate collective decisions under the auspices of the IMF, or the International Monetary Fund. Russia is not opposed in principle to indirect or to direct financial assistance in some cases. The Russian president, or the PM, with the tone of his distant, if kindly, uncle, as the New York Times put it, outlines his plans for both Russia and the EU, emphasis added. It says, Russia is part of the greater world, whether we are talking about the economy, the spread of information, or the development of culture. We do not wish to and cannot isolate ourselves. However, we intend to be consistent in proceeding from our own interest and goals rather than decisions dictated by someone else. Russia is only respected and is interested or interest considered when the country is strong and stands firmly on its own feet. Russia has generally enjoyed the privilege of conducting an independent foreign policy. Then it goes on to say, I am convinced that the global security can only be achieved through the cooperation with Russia rather than attempts to push it into the background or weaken its geographic position or compromise its defenses. And so the brunt of the article is that Russia doesn't want to be left out. They consider themselves a major power, which obviously we know that they are, because Ezekiel talks about Russia coming down against Israel in the last days. So they're going to have to be a major power. They'll align themselves with Iran, as it says in Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5. And so we have indications that this Union of Europe will be coming. And we already know that the actual kingdom that the Lord showed us is already been established, and it's been established for some time. Now, here's one other thing. In Daniel chapter 2, verses 41 through 43, we are told that this kingdom would not mix well, wouldn't cleave together. That's what the scriptures tell us. So we know that there's going to be some kind of breaking apart of this revived Roman Empire. And I believe what you're seeing now with the economy, and this is essentially what Putin is talking about, the problems with the EU economy and how they have to give bailout programs, for example, to Greece, not once, but twice. And now they're thinking that they may even fail, which could bring down the entire union itself and cause a splinter, which could give effect to what we see in the book of Daniel with the 10 toes. And this is what I think that anybody who's watching Bible prophecy is looking for, to see the developments to come from this revived Roman Empire. And so it is very interesting. And the Lord told us in many cases in the Bible, where He in the New Testament, to keep on the watch. And so we know what to look for. So please stay in a watch with me, and we'll see what develops. But we do know this: the revived Roman Empire is already here, and the last part of this prophecy will be the 10 toes of this revived kingdom. So we need to be paying attention. And what this should tell you is you're actually running out of time to receive Jesus Christ as your Savior before the church is taken. So now is the time to freely give your life over to Jesus Christ. I don't know what you're waiting for. This is a major prophecy, and half of the world, probably even more, doesn't even know that it's already been fulfilled, at least part of this prophecy, this major prophecy. So please spread the news. Jesus Christ is coming soon, and you need to be ready today.